Do you find the thing, Zell, the event was a good event overall, or ended up being a bad for the server, or neither? Um, Honestly, I wasn't a fan of it. Primarily because, for me, it feels like recent times anyway, the events are getting too long-winded, if that makes sense. What was I saying? It feels like event long. Like there's too not too much not too much in them, but there's too much to them, if that makes sense. Oh, that's the wrong one, it's this one. So like for this one you've got all of this to do. And then each of these has got their own specific thing to do, and each of these has got all the things to do. And you have to do all of that to get from here to here. Right? Whereas in my mind, this should be split up. And it should be, you should have a section dedicated to scenarios, a section dedicated to open RVR, and a section dedicated to PvE. And if you only want the PvE, you PvE your way to max. If you only want the RVR, RVR your way to max. If you only want the scenario, scenario your way to max. And then you do a mixture of them all to do the whole thing. The way the rewards are structured out, like realistically for me, the event item is the thing I want. I don't care about getting another potion of acclaim. I don't care about a cloak. This is the weird thing for me. This shouldn't have been an event reward. This should have been something that you trained or bought from a vendor. And that way it would have been more accessible, or at least this basic tier would have been quicker to do. Right? And I don't like the idea like all of this stuff goes into the rings and then it all goes away again, and it maybe doesn't come back for another year. Now, in the in-between time, it started off with the Twitch drops, and the Twitch drops, as they always do, had hundreds of people on watching streamers doing like 10, 15 hour streams every day. And there was a period when the Twitch drops ended, there was a period of a couple of days where you could just tell everybody had burnout because there was population in game was low and there was very few streams active. Now, it's picked back up again. Like, there actually seems to be a couple of those streamers have stuck around because I keep seeing new ones each day I'm on going, ooh, we've got newbies. Which is a good thing. But in terms of the overall health, like, for weeks there we were just stuck in the elf pairing. Like, it could have been worse, we could have been stuck in the dwarf and greenskin pairing, but like, I agree with you where it should have been across the board. Like, if we look at this, you have 3 different things that you have to do for the rings. So you have to get metal ore, you have to do artificing, and then you have to create jewels. Would it have been so difficult to go, okay, you get the ore from Empire and Chaos, you get the artificer stuff from Dwarf and Greenskin, and the jewel smith stuff comes from the elf lands? Right? Because then it would have forced everybody to start pushing zones over and over and over again, right? Because you would have needed all 3. Assuming all 3 are needed in equal amounts. Like, the way it would probably go round is one of them would be seen as lesser than the other. So 2 of the zones, let's say Empire and Chaos and Dwarf and Greenskin were seen as the most important. Those 2 zones would have been active all the time, and you'd only be getting into Elf every now and again. But that, to me, would have been a better game design decision, because you are promoting the campaign to further the event. And to me, that's what it should be doing. That's what the event is all about. Like, you should be promoting the play that you'd normally have. Because, like, events are a way for, like, new people to get in. Like, those Twitch drops. You're always going to get new streamers coming in just to do drops. they're going to bring with them a whole bunch of people who maybe have never played the game, who are just there to watch that person play. If they're seeing a whole bunch of stuff happening where it's just stagnant back and forth, they're just going to go, I'm not going to play that game, it looks boring. Whereas if it's like just constant going, then you start to bring in new blood and they start going, well, this actually looks quite fun. This must be what it's like all the time. But again, just my opinion. I'm not a game dev. I'm 100% with you. Event promotes farming, it should promote campaign and overall game. Yeah, so like there's going to be a degree of farming because the game itself promotes farming. So like if you want to get the most amount of renown, the most amount of crests, and you want to do the least amount of thing to do it, you blob up and you go and fight another blob in one spot and you'll get all of that. And then eventually you'll either take the zone or you'll defend the zone and you'll get a massive tick for it. If you just push the zone normally, or you just PV door it, you're not really getting anything out of it. And nobody's going to try and do it equal numbers. So the only thing that anybody wants to do is they want to build up a huge amount of contribution in the hope that one side quits, so that they can then take the zone and get the massive tick at the end of it, because they've just been sitting fighting all day. But the way to break that is you make the game reward people for doing something different. Like, if, for example, you had a scenario where it's equal numbers and you did a keep siege, and you failed the keep siege, but you say got 12k renown and 200 war crests, there would be rams up every 5 minutes. Wouldn't matter what the AAO is, there would be rams up, people running the keeps every 5 minutes. The reason that there's not is because they get nothing for it, and they know that if they go, the people that they're fighting are going to get something for it, and they don't like that. So game mechanics drive player behavior. Player behavior becomes ingrained, and then it gets distilled down to its most basic point over time where there's no change, which is kind of what we've got here. Which is why you'll often hear people who've been playing this game for so long saying, oh, well, it just gets worse year on year. And it gets worse year on year because people start to find that they can get away with doing even less than they did the year before and still get the same rewards. So events like this, where like you're forcing people, right, you have to go and get this one thing, make that one thing only come from one place. Like, it fits lore wise, it fits real world wise. Like, you know, you're not going to find the best metal ore in the same place you find the best jewels, and you're not going to find all of that in the same place where you've got the best artisans to actually make the stuff, right? Like, it all comes from all over the world and goes to different places. So like, why not have it where it's something just like that? An event that is in one zone only promotes and everything. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, they had a way. Like, it was literally like the most obvious way out of it as well, because they had like 3 different crafting professions with like 3 different inputs into it, and they had 3 pairings. Like, 3 was quite literally the magic number.